only way we would, we haven't for the past month, except for these past, like, honestly, I haven't had those meeting for me. Next week when we cook it.
Hello, Linda.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Okay, a little tired tonight, but that's okay.
All right. Okay, I have 6. Is everyone on?
I have
Or-
5:58. Mary Ann's not
Oh.
here yet.
No, she's on.
Oh, Mary Ann is?
Yeah.
But we lost
Okay.
Paula.
Yeah. There she is.
Oh, here she comes.
Like Mary Ann's still connecting.
Oh, yeah.
There she is.
Hi, Mary Ann.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Come in. Okay, yeah, please do.
If the stuff comes off super fast. Something from it.
Do we have everyone on board?
I saw Matt
Yeah,
was there. I
Matt.
thought I heard Paula.
Paula?
Matt has himself on mute.
I have a space heater going. I wasn't sure if you could hear that in the background or not, so I just mute it when I'm not talking.
Oh,
And I'll have a camera next week. It's not going to be delivered until tomorrow. I promise I'll have a camera up for next week.
oh, sure.
I don't know if we have Paula or not. It says we do.
I see your name up there. Paula, are you there?
Her microphone symbol looks like it's polling, like it's not connecting quite properly. Or not everybody's just doing that.
Oh, you have a quorum. Well, I guess, Michelle, are you gonna swear Matt in before we start?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, Matt, raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm ready.
Ready.
Okay.
I, Donald Matthew Rosolowski,
I, Donald Matthew Rosolowski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the laws and ordinances of the Village of Mantua,
and the laws and ordinances of the Village of Mantua,
and that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
and that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially
discharge the duties of council member for the Village of Mantua, Ohio,
discharge the duties of council member for the Village of Mantua, Ohio,
for so long as I shall continue in office.
for so long as I shall continue in office.
Congratulations. Everybody applaud.
Congratulations.
Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Oh,
for the
there-
opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Now that oath that I emailed you, if you can just sign that and drop it off at Village Hall. Or you can run it across the street to me, I suppose, and I can bring it because I have to sign it.
Sure thing.
Okay,
Okay. So hold on a minute. There we go.
Now you do know I'm here, right?
We can't see you, but we hear you.
I came on with video. I don't know why it's not there. Sorry.
Huh. That's okay.
yeah, that's weird. Okay.
Okay. All right. Do we want to wait for Paula or do we want to go for it?
I already went out once and came back in.
Okay. Well, we'll just keep going.
Okay.
So we'll call to order at 6:04. Roll call, please. Mary Ann,
Do I, Paula Tobacco,
Here?
Scott Weaver,
here.
Matt Rosalowski,
Here,
and am I missing somebody in the service committee?
Nope. You're all good.
Nope.
All right.
Citizen, do we have anyone logged on?
No questions.
No questions?
No questions seen yet in my email.
Great. Approval of the minutes. Paula,
So moved.
I will second that. All ayes?
Aye.
Aye. The village administrators report.
Yes, just give it orally. Briefly, mayor's been working on the contracts. Also, I'm working on EPA letters. Sent them one back. I'll send them another one. Been diligently working on that, but we also, I've been working with a new developer. It's a Dollar Tree, Dollar General. We don't know what dollar what. It's a Compass parking. They have moved forward with the purchase agreement. So they're going forward. Rich sent them plans for the sewers and so forth and the Orchard Street plan, so it can be designed accordingly. But they're excited. They're gonna need about 3 or 4 variances. So that'll be going to BZA than planning, but it looks to be going forward. They're excited about moving to Mantua and they want to move in. So they know about the restrictions. It can only be 6,000 square feet, not 9,000, which they originally wanted. So they're gonna get all the variances. Parking, we wanted in the rear, but there's some wetlands in the rear of the property. So they may have to pull parking up front and have the retention pond in rear of the property in order to meet the MPDS standards that they're required to meet. But of course, Rich will work with that eventually. So
Now,
So-
you said they're purchasing the Compass Packaging lot?
across the street, diagonal from Compass Packaging, there's a parking lot, a vacant
Yes.
parking lot.
Yeah.
A lot there they're purchasing, yes. And Compass Packaging happens to own that property.
Okay. Now, I do want to make sure that we consider, because that is an awfully busy intersection right there at Orchard and 44. And this is going to be bringing a lot more traffic in.
Yes, and ODOT is the access management, doesn't belong to us. ODOT will require them probably to meet with the Orchard there. And ODOT would be required to take a look at that also. For that ingress egress, it would have to be across from Orchard. They really couldn't put it anywhere else, but they will speak to them also.
We're not messing anything up with the poles, are we? The moving of the poles and rerouting for the Orchard Street project. I mean, are we interfering with anything in that parking lot if we do that? Or what we're doing?
They just got the plans last week, so I don't think we are.
Okay,
That better, that ingress egress for that option is also available for them. And the Orchard Trade's going to help them, and having plans ahead of time, knowing it, that'll help them. They're just beginning in design phase.
okay. Wow. Okay. Anything else, John?
That's all for now.
So the EPA with the valve, that's what you guys are working on, you said? You and Linda have been working on that?
Yeah, there's two things. The EPA is sitting at home doing quite a few things, and they misconstrued the valve itself, saying that it wouldn't shut off everything. It would shut off, it's just we couldn't get on it. It had dirt and grime on top of the valve. So we actually exercised that over a year ago. It was exercised properly. So what I'll do is have the guys, in the meantime, if we have to get the jet truck down here or the vacuum truck from the county or another agency, we will get that vacuumed out, make sure it turns fully, and that'll meet all the requirements. And then I'm going to draft a lengthy letter explaining what we've been through, and actually the plants have been operated by somebody else. So we have not even had anybody with distribution license working out there. I won't tell them that, but
Okay.
logistics of it. If somebody had a license, they would be required to do that, but we don't have anybody, Dave nor Vern, anybody has a water license. But I'll tell them we've been working on it. We'll do the best we can. We do flush hydrants. It's just turning those valves when you have 140-year-old lines. They know what would happen. We can't risk it. It's too expensive.
Right. Okay.
Excuse
Okay.
me, John. Scott, I wanted to ask, John, Don Feller was out there with them though, when they were working on all that stuff, if I recall.
Yes, Don actually flooded the pit one time. We're not going to tell the EPA that, but we were trying to get it shut off and down, and he turned the pump back on, trying to help out. Thought he was pumping it back up. Then the second pressure didn't happen, so he shut it off in time. But yeah, Don was out there. That's
Okay.
We had a licensed operator out there. That wasn't a problem. It's just the communication. Having about 5 more men would have been nice, but we
Yeah.
just didn't have it.
Right. Okay. Move on to Paula. Did you have anything else for John?
Oh, well, this is sort of not on the EPA issue, but it's coming up regarding roads. And what roads are we looking to resurface this year?
Looking at the current budget information and the way that we've been cut, the first quarter is down significantly, and it will be down more. I'm not sure that we'll be looking at any until we get a better example. We'll still have time to maybe get 1 or 2 of a paving, but right now it's going to be very tight with the roads money.
Well, I can believe that, yeah. I know that the mayor had given me, when I first started, a report done by CT in 2015. And it reflected the roads and their condition. And at that time, High Street was considered the most highest that needed to be repaired. And then the next 2 in line were actually Canada Road. And we haven't gotten anything done on Canada Road. We haven't even, the guys started cleaning out the ditches, which would be helpful if they completed the clean out of the ditches. But we're getting grass growing in the road and.
Yes, and that Mayor and I discussed that the other day too. We're going to get the guys to complete the ditching first. Once the ditching is done, and if we did Canada Road, it's about a mile or so. We might be able to do that in chip and seal eventually. It's about 16 grand, approximately maybe $17,000 for that mile of road. But we'll take a look at it. It's going to need some full depth repair where the grass is growing in the road, as you said. And what we'll do is bring it up to grade, at least with patching material this year, because I did drive it the other day and it is a mess. I agree. It's our worst road.
It is our worst road, and it's been over 20 years since it was paved. Yes, they did a chip and seal on it back in maybe 16 or so, on half of it, part of it. But it needs some attention.
Mm-hmm.
I concur. It needs a lot of attention, and we will at least be patching and everything else. And if we get some money that's freed up, it will be looked at to chip and seal. We'll see how our funds go this year.
Chip and seal like we had done on the half part of it?
Well, you used actually when you chip and seal, you used an aggregate, which was a limestone. If we chip and sealed, I would propose that we use a slag material, which binds better together, and the slag, maybe even a double chip and seal. It'll be more of a black content, and then polymer seal, which is about $2.24 a gallon. It's a little bit more than the regular chip and seal, but not that much. I mean, it's over 100,000 if you just pave that road, but you can chip and seal it for anywhere from 17 to 30,000 and to make a really good surface on it.
And that's the polymer seal would be put over it, and that's to, well, to help smooth it out with the chip and seal.
Actually, we used a polymer that when you put the chips down, therefore avoiding the tar bleeding out, the regular RS2, which you use for the cheaper products, and it bleeds out and half the chips go off too. So we'd use a polymer to seal it in the stones, and you have less than 20% aggregate loss that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
guess what, we've got to remember that people are using this for walking on and riding bikes on, and we do see a lot of, I was surprised we had Buckeye Trail people over walking it last weekend. So, okay. Just want to keep it in mind.
Okay. Anything else, Paula,
No,
before we
that's all.
move on? Okay. New business. The EPA November report.
Notice of violation.
Oh, notice of
NOV.
violation. Okay. I was gonna say, when did we have a report in November? All right, so John took care of that. CT work authorization. Why is that here in service, may I ask?
I brought this to service so that you could review. Richard sent all of you a letter regarding this and how it transpired. And so I wanted you guys all to read the letter so it could go back to council for see if it would pass a second approval. As you can see, the DMRC had gone to the Parks Committee with their letter. They did the preliminary cost estimate and the route. All council was supposed to have done at the time was do the legislation to approve applying for the grant. And so I just wanted to refresh everyone's memory on what had transpired, because even we apply for so many different grants, I didn't remember all of this until he brought it
Yes,
up.
and I found that it was very good to receive the letter, the DMRC letter, and I'm glad that Rich had a copy of it. And when you read through it, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth paragraph down says the proposed completion of the Booker Trail extension would start at the east end, and it sort of explains it would come along high and so on. And then the last sentence there said, please see attachment 1, exact path, construction, and supporting documents for the application to be determined by the Parks Board, Village Administrator, CT Consultants, and DMRC. And the next sentence says the remaining trail extension would be constructed in the same manner and with the same material as the existing portion, which is asphalt over gravel. So they recognized here that they wanted the asphalt over gravel. And I did take time to pull up the parks minutes from the April 17th meeting of 2019. And in there it says the application is due June 1. This would be completing the loop around the village park. Jennifer Brown from CT would be doing the application. But Scott, let's see. Scott then asked exact location on High Street would the trail be. We need the design before council. Scott made a motion to move it forward into legislation, but we obviously never got any information regarding construction design. So I still feel that there was a definite lack on the work done by CT. So I have no problem with it going forward to council. And thank you.
The only thing I would like to add to what Paula said, if you look at the preliminary estimate cost, it doesn't have anything on there for engineering cost on that. I did speak with Rich again today. He is going to check with Jennifer Brown to see if what the new route that was walked with Gene Arders, Paula, and Marty, because it's less lineal footage, is that the correct word you would use? On doing that, if any of the funds that are left over can be used for design and engineering. At this point, we don't know. I just asked him this afternoon.
Well, I keep looking back at the line that says at no cost to the village.
And DMRC paid, did pay for the grant preparation.
No, I know.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just look at that letter and what I see is no cost to the village.
Yep.
And, Parks pushed it up to council, but like Paula said, with the assumption that there would be a plan before it went to council and got approved. And instead it just, Marty, do you remember this conversation, since I see it logging on there?
Yeah, I'm
But
listening.
like I said, when I read that letter, I just see it no cost to the village.
Well, that's what we assumed too. We also assumed when we were doing the walk with CT that they had already been notified of this and had made plans, because they were the ones that said it was not possible to do it the way that DMRC wanted it done. That's why we came up with an alternative. Then come to find out afterwards that there was, never went to CT. It was between DMRC and the gal from CT that they had hired by themselves. So there were no plans made
Rich,
and
or Marty,
accepted.
Marty,
Yeah.
Jennifer Brown is an employee of CT Consultants.
I know that.
And so she is, she works for them, she works for Rich. So I'm not sure that there's no blame here.
She does not work for us.
No, she doesn't work for us.
Right.
No, not for the village.
No, she works for, they were hired, she was hired by DMRC to assist them in looking for grants and such.
Well, I mean, we can bring this back to council, but like I said, when it comes to the park and something that size, when it says no cost to the village, then everybody's on board because it says no cost to the village. And for us to get stuck with a $4,000 bill, that's a hard one to swallow.
Agreed.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I was kind of taken aback at the meeting when all this came up. And like I said, I didn't want to offend Rich, but we're in no position to pay $4,000 for a walking trail. And when you're, like I said, at no cost to the village, we all agreed to push it up to council. And I'll leave it at that. Now it can go back to council and see what happens, but.
Yeah. And note that you may want to read the April park minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, discuss the draft agreement with the county. Mayor, would you like to
That was
start
interesting.
that?
Well, I can tell you, I received it over the weekend and I read it very quickly over the weekend and then looked at it again. I mean, page 1 was pretty much what I thought it would be, and page 2, I mean, we had told them what we wanted was basically what they were doing when they operated our plants before. As you got
Mhm.
further into it and got to page 5, under D, I'm sorry, E, the things that they included in this that they felt that we needed to do. Now, we all know that everything on this list is things that were on our needs list. And I had warned everybody that Gene had said he was going to include some of the items that we had to show that we were trying to move forward. I didn't realize that he was going to be putting a time frame, so to speak, on it, of how to get all these things done, which in my opinion, and that's just me, there's no way that I feel that we could commit to all of these items to be done within a 6 to 10 year period, because you figure if there's a grant out there for OPWC and say that it's 80-20. I mean, sometimes they have different things. So you go for $1 million to do something, 20% is going to be $200,000.
Right.
So for the village to be coming up with that kind of money, even with the increased rate structure that we have just put on to our residents, I'm really disheartened in trying to figure out how we could do all of these projects and pay someone to operate our plants. Again, this is just a first draft. We can go back, and we will go back and say, well, we've got to take this and this off. We're going to have to look and see the things that we think that we can afford to do. And
Mhm.
so, like I say, I was very disheartened to see all of that. And then when you get over to page, let me find it here. Page 9, the termination of the agreement, if I'm understanding this correctly, we can write a letter to them saying that we want to get out of the contract, say in 5 years. But the way I'm understanding the wording, and Michelle and John or any of you are understanding it different. Say we're in it for 5 years and we say, well, we want out of this contract. I mean, it's just not beneficial or whatever the reasons might be. We're still going to have to pay the balance of the additional 5 years to them in a lump sum. Am I reading that correctly?
That's how I read it too, and I think that's extremely severe. I couldn't recommend that.
No,
No,
no.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you.
I mean, we did approach them to ask them for something. I mean, again, this is a first draft. If you guys have any suggestions, I mean, I would definitely ask for number 6 to be reworded, that if we end the agreement, I understand their reasoning. They don't want to hire 2 new people to work full time, and in 5 years us say, so sorry, so sad, we can't afford this anymore. We can't afford to continue the needs list on our own, and that they would have to lay somebody else. So I understand where they're coming from, but we have to look out for the village too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Say something.
Does everybody follow what I mean?
Yeah,
Yes,
Did I explain that well enough?
yeah.
Yeah, Mayor, and I don't want to see any punitive things in there. We should definitely get that out of there. That's too risky and too expensive. We don't need things like that in that contract.
And like I say, we're gonna have to go back with them.
Hey,
Maybe we can.
there's Paula.
Oh, there's
schedule-
Paula.
I realized why, sorry.
What, Paula? Oh, she's back on.
Yeah, I had a little guy covering my camera.
Well, a half a bottle of alcohol later, I got my screen cleared,
No, that's great. It looks
my
good.
bald head. I would like to say something on that draft that I read and didn't like. And that's that they could terminate the contract with 30 days notice and dump the whole thing back on us with no employees in there at all. That bothers me. But we could not afford to hire somebody in 30 days.
Right.
Yeah, we've been in that boat before.
Mhm.
So if
Yeah.
you guys want to, mark up your copies and let me know, and I will get a hold of Gene, and Michelle and I will set up a meeting with him and the county prosecutor that wrote this and see if we can mark it up and bring it back for a second look-see.
Yes, and I, when you went to page 5 and 6, I think in looking at that, they just went with the other agreement and stuffed everything in
Mhm.
and gave us
Right.
deadlines to do it. And
Yeah.
they know we don't, we would not be able to respond in that fast a scenario. So
Right.
this is ridiculous. Yeah. So,
Here is one of my concerns for everybody to think about, and I know that John True and I have spoken about this already, is, we just got this latest NOV report from the EPA. This is the third time since December that we have received notifications from the EPA about things that they were not happy about. I almost feel like the village has a target on their back right now because we had been working with the EPA during the negotiations on the merger. So they're aware of our facilities and such. I mean, they've seen everything that we have. And so, when the county pulled out because of the merger in December, they were hard pressed. They were within their rights to question Envirolink, and because they had never heard of them personally. And then so that we got that straightened around and showed all their qualifications and stuff. And then was it February, John, when we got the thing about the water quality control report that the county had turned in a water quality control report for 2018, and you can send these reports in for like pre-approval or pre-look at, and they'll tell you what you need to tweak. And then you can submit it and it should be fine. Well, it was sent in, pre-approved. Then we sent it in, it was approved. And then in February, we get a letter from somebody that says, boy, this is not right. And John and I spent many hours with CT and with Envirolink, and even with the county people complying with them. So we had to revise the 2018 report, and they finally approved it, and it has to be resent out, and we're resending it out when we do the 2019. We'll do a double report. So we had that, and now we have this latest report that of all these different things. So I just feel like because the merge, I don't know. My personal opinion, because the merger didn't happen, and they're going to just look for anything and everything that anytime we do something. So our guys are just going to have to be super careful so we can work all this out. John, your thoughts on that? Because I know you
No,
think it's because.
Yeah, you're correct. And it's also, the Don Feller's been called 15 times, and that's just totally ridiculous. There's no reason to call him 15 times. If he needs help, call him to help him, but don't call him 15 times to ask just little questions, which, they know the answer sometimes before they even asked them. But yeah, we'll continue to be diligent, and I work with Don pretty closely, and also Ted and the other operator, I can't think of his name now. All three of them I've been working with. So we'll speak to them at least bi-weekly and keep things under control.
Okay,
Yeah, keep it out of the mayor's office. So mark this up and I'm gonna see if Michelle and I can schedule something maybe for Friday. I'll change my day off this week and we'll do a phone conference or something with Gene and him to work on this. And I also want to get going back on the negotiations too. But that we have to handle these two separately. So sorry, Scott, I'll back off.
no, that's,
And one other thing I heard that on the LMI, it sounds like they've got all of that, all of the households counts necessary for us to qualify for the LMI.
Wonderful.
Yes, so Jane Pilgrim had called me over the weekend and said she was, unless Todd has changed the number, they got the final 12 or so that they needed. So that sounded real good.
I'll try and reach out to him because I just talked to his office just yesterday, but did not speak with him.
Yeah, good. Okay,
Thanks, Paula.
because that'd be something to let the county know about. as we
Yes.
move forward with this.
That makes a whole different thing when we're applying for grants and loans and stuff, and that would help us out, but maybe it'll push us closer to negotiation on the merger
Yeah.
with the county.
Yep.
Thank
Okay.
you.
okay. So on to section 921 and 941.22. Michelle, I think you're up.
Or John.
Or John.
I can take Michelle if you want me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that language in 921, between Tyler Tech and the language, there was some confusion. And we think that people may have been overbilled a couple times. We're going to straighten that out. And what we want to do that, we think we can do administratively, get it corrected. And Mary Ann and I have to work diligently. Those ones like Mockney and a couple of the other multiple tenants, make sure they're paying their bill. And if there's a unit unoccupied at the time, we can put that in inactive status at that time, and they shouldn't even be charged that minimum charge. I was reluctant to do that before when we didn't have any increases, but that $20 and that $30 increase, I think we're okay, fiscally responsible. We could do that for those people. We don't want somebody to pay their water bill, pay the first 235 cubic feet, and then continue to pay more because there's 3 and then be charged for 7 units. It's just not right. So
Right.
we want to make sure that our people are charged correctly and the actual intent of the legislation is met. And that's all the intent was to continue that if they were there and there was a person, there would be at least a minimum use. But if they say inactive, such as when people go to Florida and so forth, we can put them inactive. We'll just do it administratively rather than have to go through council another 3 or 4 months and then do something differently. It's still meeting the need of the legislation. It just caused a little more work for us, but I think Mary Ann and I got a good handle of it. We can handle it pretty good.
Okay.
I talked to Kyle Tech today about that, and she made a good point about that we should read those meters anyways, even if they're inactive every month, to make sure there's no leak, but also to make sure they really are inactive, because it would be very hard to track when somebody moves in if the landlord forgets to tell us. So just a thought.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, that is easy enough. Discuss the powers and duties of the village administrator as in section 133.02F regarding work authorizations. Do we have any discussion? I thought we kind of worked that out. Mayor?
Well, I mean, the codified does say that John can do a work authorization for, without, up to $3,000 without council approval.
Mm-hmm.
And the last contract that we had with CT was specific in saying that it must be approved by council. It didn't say that it had to go to finance to be pushed forward to council. It didn't say it had to be in the council packets. So my question is, if, as long as it gets to before council to be approved, and it's work that, let's say when we have a grant and stuff, I mean, you pretty much know that if they're doing a big project, like when we did West Prospect, let's call it the phase 1, and they have their engineering and design and all of that stuff in there, we know that that's included in there at the 18%. So we shouldn't be surprised when we get a work authorization for work that's falling within budget. Now, I totally understand this phase 2 Booker Trail thing where the engineering wasn't even on there, and Jennifer Brown did the grant application and DMRC paid her directly to do so because it wasn't supposed to cost the village any money. So I just want to make it, you know, I feel like we single CT out a lot more than we do other ones that John does work authorizations for. And then there's the case of when we have site plan reviews, the ones that CT do, like when we did for Middlefield Bank and 44 restorations. I don't even think that those need to come before council because they're not a council matter, they're a zoning matter, but that's my opinion. We just need some clarification on it. And so I just feel like sometimes we waste too much time on things that are under $3,000 that are going before council for approval, when we don't for other things that John is able to purchase without council approval. That's all.
And maybe we need to think about, because the site plan review, you're right about that. That's in our legislation, and it's they pay us to have the site plan review done. And maybe that, you know, that's $800, $500, $800, whatever it is. Maybe those are the little ones we should be looking at and addressing it as part of our ordinances or someplace that, but some things I think we do need to see as far as the CT work authorizations. And we need to make sure that finance, that Jenny feels comfortable with the charges to an extent. And I know when that was first brought up, when Paul and John and I were on finance. And at that point, they had agreed with that.
And Paula, I looked through the minutes since you've been on council. I could not find where it was in minutes for finance. I could not find it in council minutes. When I did question Jenny on it, I understood her to say there was never a motion on it. It wasn't in the minutes. It goes all the way back to the 2009 contract with CT when they changed it so that at the time Mr. Trago could not be pre-approving any work authorizations for CT without council being aware. Now, if somebody can find it in the minutes where it says we discussed this in between 2014 when you first came on council, I think is when it was. Excuse me if I have the year wrong.
Yeah, it's 17 was my.
You made a motion and it was approved. Have at it, but I can't find it so far.
Okay.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I haven't found it. And I understood Jenny to tell me that it's not there. And that because she produced the 2009 contract. And then just so everybody is aware, in 2013, we did advertise 4 new solicitors. There were 3 that applied, and council still decided that they wanted to stay with CT because they knew our history, they know our village, and that was, so they just let that contract go. They didn't feel there was any changes because Rich didn't change his retainer, and so it's not like we've just been with CT forever without having reviewed it. So, but yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that it just seems like sometimes we pick on CT and we approve other things for $2,700 that John can do without coming before council. We do try to share everything with you. We try to be transparent. And I've always brought all of CT's work orders before council, even though, like Paula said, they didn't have a chance to review them prior to, but we've tried to be transparent about everything that we pay them. So that's all I got to say about it.
Okay. So if there was never any change in 133.02, then it stands that, I mean, John can authorize anything under $3,000, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, Linda. Are we just going around in a circle with this one?
No, he can approve up to $3,000. And
Right.
if you read the whole thing closely, he can also be the signer on something with council approval up to $50,000.
Right.
Or 55, somewhere in that area. So I just want clarification on, and I've looked myself, but again, I'm supposed to be part-time and I'm not going to sit there for 8 hours and totally read all the books. The keeper of the records should be responsible for that.
Do we need to bring this up at council, or are we gonna we're going to abide by 133.02?
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Linda, I'm asking for an opinion.
My opinion, I feel that if we have something in place, then we abide by that. But if someone feels differently, then it needs to be brought up at council again
Okay,
and
Paula.
relook at it.
If we're going with the 3,000 limit. Okay, I mean, it's right there. So,
I mean, it's in place. If you have discussion and, I mean, that you want to, if you feel we need to change this, then we're going to need to send it to council.
right. Let me take some time with the minutes from finance and,
Okay.
okay, and I'll let you
Okay.
know. I can send an email if I find anything, or I can send Ann an email to say nothing was found
Okay.
after review of the minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, I think that would need to be worked into the agenda. So, yeah, I mean, for the
Or
plan
you
or
can
for
just do
the
it for next
council.
month again. I'm sorry,
Chris,
you
Well,
could
I'm-
just leave it on the agenda for next month and Paula can tell you what she's
Okay.
found out.
Okay. You want to just do that, Paula?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let me know regardless,
That'd be-
though. I mean, if you do find something, send me an email.
Okay.
Also me, because like I say, I've looked and can't find it if it's
Yeah.
there. I remember you saying it. I do remember you saying it, but
Okay. All right. So we're still advertising for an operator. John went over that with us. Any luck, John, or no?
No, no
Okay.
luck. Same
Okay.
circumstance. Nobody has applied.
Yeah. Okay. This is kind of an odd time anyway, so I can't imagine we would have too much going on. Okay, old business, Orchard Street widening. So where are we with that?
They are getting ready to do their, they being CT, to do the bid packets for that.
Okay,
And so we should be getting that pretty soon and get the bid packets. And now that we have all the easements, I know that Jenny was given the easements. I don't know if she's been able to get into the court, the admin building to get them recorded, but as long as they've been
Right.
signed and notarized, we know that they're gonna be good.
okay,
And so.
all right. And Edison got
hopefully
they got the easement from Compass and all that's done and to cut the
Yes.
corner.
Yes,
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Great. So by the end of summer, we should have that taken care of, hopefully.
I
That
know that he,
project?
John, weren't they trying to get the bid packet out this month yet sometime
Yes.
for that project?
Once they start to work, I mean, it's less than 90 days, you know,
Okay.
everything right, just be maybe even less than 30 days. But, you know, that 90 day will probably be the contract.
Okay,
And they have promised that the road or Orchard Street would still be open. It might just be one lane, but they were not going to impede the businesses. They would keep traffic flowing as smoothly as possible while they did it.
good. Okay. All right, so we'll leave the asset management in the old business. And I guess that's it.
I just got an email from Rich. I don't know if he knows we're in a meeting, but it's for ODN. I may as well read it in now. ODNR Phase 2. He writes to Linda, John, and myself. He says, Mayor, it appears we can apply for reimbursement for the additional $4,000 I requested for engineering fees for rerouting, reworking both Phase 2 and Phase 3. That is assuming we bring the construction and design cost under $41,650. So, is that helpful?
That's what he was trying to find out. And the route that Paula and Jean and Marty had come up with was going to be short enough that it should be under budget. Just depends on pricing. Because they cut quite a few. What is that? Lineal feet? Is that running feet?
Yeah,
When you do-
lineal feet.
A lot. Mhm.
You cut a lot out?
Yeah,
Okay,
for phase 2, we had to come down to the price tag because there was no engineering work done to assess the need for the gravel for the original submission.
okay.
You're talking about phase 2 or phase 3, Paula?
Phase 2. Phase 2 was shortened extensively to come within the grant that was provided.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
I think that's good news then from Rich. I mean, if
Yes. Well,
we
as I
don't have to
said,
do battle over this.
right. I would, yes, as long as we keep it under budget, let's not worry about it till we need to.
Okay.
I
Okay.
would say let's not even bring it up at council at this point then until we see what's shaking on it.
Yeah. Okay,
Marty, one of the things that when we were with Jean Arters and doing that walk around, we said if possible, we wanted to get that crossing flashing light available where the path crosses High Street. And we were hoping that they would provide us with that information on the cost, similar to the flashing light that is available at Mill and 44.
mhm. The solar panel?
Yeah. So we need to, I think that's kind of important to get that in.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Brian did bring that up in a conversation when Rich was out of town last week when I talked to him. I will verify that. And Rich, if you're out there listening, I don't know. Paula, I know that Brian was aware after Jean sent everything, the changes in about the flashing light. I just don't know what the cost is, so we can check on that cost.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, well, I think that was it. Anything else? Anybody?
No, just yeah, everybody between now and Friday, I act like you can see what I'm doing. Look at this service agreement so I can get back with Jean and we can modify this. Make suggestions.
Okay, yeah. We'll
I
just
mean,
put a big X through it, and that's my suggestion. I didn't see
Yeah,
a
big
whole
X
lot
on
there.
page- Yeah, big X on page 6
Yeah,
and page 10, wasn't that what it was? About the
Page 9.
termination? Page
page
9,
9, page 9.
yeah.
5, page
Yeah.
6.
I thought it
Yeah,
was
page
odd.
5,
mean,
6.
They're aware we're gonna, I'm sure they're aware we're gonna come back and
Yeah,
discuss it with them.
I
right.
thought it was
But
odd
since
that
I
in
got
the
it,
beginning,
waiting so long. I'm sorry, Marty?
I said, I thought it was odd that in the beginning it said 7 pages and it went 12.
Oh,
So how much can you believe about what's written in it?
oh, I'm sure that they work very hard on it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay, anybody, anything else?
Mary Ann, did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
I don't think so. If I did, I don't remember.
Okay.
Okay. John, you all good?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. Paula, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I will second that. We will
Oh,
adjourn
you
at,
Oh, we should have asked Matt if he had anything.
oh, yeah,
Matt was
Matt.
all quiet.
Yeah, no,
Hello.
no, I don't have anything. I've been paying very close attention. I've been collecting data, taking notes. I'm gonna spend the next, week or whatever, just reading over everything and just to have a better understanding. And if I have any questions or anything in the meantime, I'll reach out. I will say, Monday, 6 p.m. I will be at the fire station for the fire board to meet everybody.
Oh, great.
There. Yep.
Good.
So I'm, doing that, and then, yeah, if anybody needs anything in the meantime, just feel free to reach out.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Everybody have a great rest of the week.
Good evening, everyone.
Yep.
Good
Take
night.
care, everybody.